Hello everybody, my name is Centerpoint, and today I'm going to be talking to you about MMOs again, because I was going to record a Battlefront 2 video, but if you can look up here, I kind of screwed up something. I screwed up something really badly. I'm not sure what I screwed up, but it certainly got screwed. Only the top corner of the screen is visible, so I don't know. MMO time. Alright, let's go. So when I wanted to bring up a few points. So yesterday when I talked about MMOs, the first thing I brought up was the fact that you have, let's say, a town here, right? You have, no, I want to have that in here. You have a town here, and then right over here is, let's say, the fighting zone, right? Right? And then through that fighting zone is another, no, oh my gosh. Through that fighting zone is another town over here. And then over here is another fighting zone. Right? And it just keeps doing this pattern over and over and over and again until, you know, as you progress. Let's say that this over here is zone 1. Good old zone 1 here. When you're levels 1 through 10, these are the ones you go to. When you're levels 10 through 20, you go to zone 2, etc., etc., etc. As you go through the game, you know, you start here, you beat everything in here, and then you go over here, and then this is deleted. You forget about it entirely. Goodbye. You've beat level 1 in your MMO campaign, and now you're going to level 2. This is what I don't like. I don't like the fact that you're playing a game with an open world, but it's not. Technically it is, but having level 1 and level 2 is not fun. I want to play a game where, let me delete all of this. I want to play a game where, let's say, here's the town. Here's the town. Let me get this paint bucket over here. And the rest of this, all of that, is areas you have to look out for. Or we can say, hey, here's town number 1, town number 2, town number 3, town number 4, town number 5. Yeah, maybe there's some places in between them, you know. Plenty of places to explore and all. And then you come to this paint tool bucket, and again, the rest of this is wilderness. Why can't we have this? Why can't we have it where, yeah, okay, you'll start here. You'll start here. But the game is open world enough that this isn't just 2, and this isn't just 3, this isn't just 4, this isn't 5. It can be whatever you darn well want. If that's 1, this can be 2. This can be 4. This can be 3. This can be 5. There's no issue. And all of this is just kind of everything. Who cares? Now, there's 2 games that I know that do this. Both of the games that I can't really, I've tried to get into, but it's really hard. RuneScape and EVE Online. In EVE Online, you start out in the middle of nowhere, and then, really, you can go wherever you want. Because, who cares? In RuneScape, it's not a massive world, but in RuneScape, you have quests that just kind of take you everywhere. There's no reason to not go everywhere. Why stay constricted to one area and then move on to the next area and then forget about area 1? No. Let's go from one area. A quest says, hey, go to zone 3 here, and then bring it back to zone 1, and then maybe there's something in zone 5 that you need. And you can take it to zone 4 and then come back to zone 1, and then go to zone 3, then zone 2, and then blah, 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 blah. You go everywhere because it's an open world, and the whole world is there for you to explore. And that's fun drawing that. I don't like a big ol' MMO having nothing but boxed levels that you have to go through one at a time. I want it to be as interconnected as the rest. Because, like, if you're living in an open world, if you're living in a real world, you're not just gonna go from point A to point B, then point C to point D. Nobody does that in real life. You go to point A to point B, then back to point A, then to point C, and you move around, but, like, it's never in this straight line. So that's one thing. Another thing that I talked about was, I guess, player DMing. And as one of my commenters in my last video said, I love you, baby. Yeah, kind of like Minecraft modded, in a way, where, like, let's say everyone's in Town A, and I'll paint the rest of this to be wilderness. Let's go. Town A, here's wilderness. Now, Town A here, oh my gosh, I suck at this. Town A has decided to throw a banquet. So, let me pull out my party streamers here. Woo, yeah, we did it, it's a party. Because they just recently beat a cool monster or something, or like it's a holiday, let's say Easter or something. What I want to have available in the game is admins who can just spawn monsters in, basically, or spawn events in according to their discretion. So they're having a party here, and the admin decides he wants to spawn in a big ol' star right here. He wants to be a nice guy and spawn in a big, juicy, golden star. That's not gold. This is kind of gold. Well, that's more gold, I guess. Big ol' star here, and anyone can go collect that star, and oh, it's so nice of the admins. What a good guy. Maybe on a different day, though, like maybe let's say 4th of July. Admin's not feeling nearly as nice, and instead he decides to drop in a big old monster right here, big old boss fight basically, and everyone has to stop what they're doing and go fight it, or else it's gonna run over the town and kill everyone. The point is, though, it's not super pre-organized events. Like the admins in control can change certain things on the fly, can spawn in events at certain times, and can generally directly oversee how the game is going. I don't think it would be terribly hard to do, because, I mean, shoot, in Minecraft, it was as simple as pressing /spawn number, and you had a monster, and sometimes that's all you needed in order to have a cool boss fight. You know, that'd be fun. That's all I'm saying. And for the last point I made, when I said I wanted to kill the Lich King, and I keep saying Lynch, shut up, I want to kill the Lich King. So let's rebuild our town again, because I keep destroying it. Here's the town. Let's put it in the corner here, because this is something that I might need to build a little bit more of a map for. Let's say all this out here's the wilderness. Make it a little bit darker this time. But over here, in this little section, is the Lich King's castle. So let's yeah, it's a castle now, got it. This is the Lich King's castle, And the reason why there are so many monsters everywhere is because the Lich King over here is making them spawn everywhere. And the Lich King is super, super high level. And basically, it's a fight for everyone to try to make it to that castle. Because the further you go away from the town, the harder it typically becomes. Just more because there's a general concentration of monsters around this area. And getting into here, into the castle, means you'll be fighting a lot of super hard bosses, and I expect it to be one of those things where, like, not a lot of people can do it. And basically nobody can beat the Lich King himself. And I'm just going to call him the Lich King now because screw it. The guy's a slave owner. Let's go with that. The Lich King. He's in this castle and nobody can beat him. I want it to be a real event when someone rises up from this town as a real boy and makes it all the way through this wilderness, finds the castle, sneaks around, and kills the Lich King with his own whip. And then as soon as he does that, suddenly the Lich King isn't a problem anymore. The Lich King isn't a problem. His castle of terror... What on earth? His castle of terror dies. And suddenly, all the monsters that are out here become a little bit less of a problem. I'm gonna click on this. And then... that doesn't seem to be working. Well, you know what I mean. They become a little bit less of a problem. I can just keep spamming it until it works. Alright, yeah, a little bit less of a problem. Sure, there are still monsters that pocket the... Why do I even bother? My gosh. There can still be monsters that pocket, you know, the land out here. Let me pick out the paintbrush here. Like, there's still pockets of monsters, but they're nowhere near as bad as they used to be back when the Lich King ruled. And that's kind of maybe even the goal of the game, is to kill the Lich King, and so that the land can be free and you can expand. Now, once this town is expanded, let's say to here, then you realize, oh, further out, even further out, there's another Lich King. Or whatever you want to say. But, like, the point is that the progression system, if you want to call it that, is that there is a threat that you can deal with. It is very, very hard to deal with it, but you absolutely can deal with it. And once someone does, it's no longer a threat. That guy has killed the Lich King, and the land has been freed. That's what I want. And I know that's... And this is the one part of it that I don't expect to actually ever happen. Because... unless it's almost entirely player-driven and DM-driven, like, this kind of event is completely unfair to newer players, I guess. At least that's how a lot of people will look at it. They'll say, oh, a new player spawns in, and this is already what he sees. He never saw this. He never saw all the super monsters out here. He's only seen the super safety of, like, this big old area. And, oh, there's stuff way over here that he can go deal with like everyone else, but he never got to experience this part of the game. And I expect that to be a real problem, but it's just something that I'd personally like to see. As far as the classes thing, it's pretty simple. You have, let's say, a soldier here. Let's say archer here. Let's say wizard here. And let's say, healer here. Why not? So we got soldier or fighter, whatever you want to call them. Let's just say fighter / tank. We have, I'm gonna move it to black. Archer, wizard, and healer. Now, for this fighter tank, I expect it to be a hack and slash. That's what I want out of when I'm playing a dude with a sword and a shield. I kind of want it to be a hack and slash. I kind of want it to be like Dark Souls, or even what's that new game that came out last year that was actually really fun? Or maybe it was the year before that. I think it was last year. The one with the medieval knights and ninjas and Vikings and stuff. You know what I'm talking about, probably. The one with the one's designed for the controller. Anyways, that game, that would be a great play style for someone who uses swords. Uses swords, hack and slash boys. This is the Dark Souls of MMOs XD. Now, for an archer or a gunner or whatever, I expect the game to be a first-person shooter where you actually have to aim the stupid weapon. You know? I don't expect it to be the exact same gameplay for everyone, you know, who's running around. First-person shooter where you're aiming towards vital points in the monster, or you're just trying to provide covering fire, or whatever. You have the bird's eye view. Wizards should be playing Osu. Honestly, they should just be playing Osu. That sounds like fun. Like you're doing this incantation thing. Yeah, let's just put Osu here too, because why not? Incantation things. This one's like, I guess, targeted Osu. Like AoE Osu. This one's single target, but you know, it's like it's an entirely different play style for all of them. And what I was saying about, I don't even like these boxes in the first place. We don't need them. Why can't the fighter and the tank learn some cool spells? Why can't the archer learn how to use a dagger? Why can't the fighter and the tank learn how to use pickpocketing? Why am I drawing this out? Why are we bound inside of that square? Why can't we just kind of learn everything? Now, I don't expect that to be balanced. Like, if you have a super high level character, and what I'm thinking of is, if you, let's say you start out as a quote-unquote fighter tank, and as the game goes on, you eventually max out everything you can really learn and do by being a fighter or a tank, whatever, with a sword and shield. So you're like, okay, well, I'm going to learn how to arch now. And you become a max level archer because you do nothing and you waste all your time. So now you're both a super cool fighter tank and a super cool archer. Oh no, now you're like you're breaking the lines. And then, why not just become a wizard and a healer? That's too much. So what I'm thinking of, there can be a way to keep people inside of these boxes, but not completely restrict them. You give it a time memory? Time memory, let's say. Let's say you know how to use swords, and you use swords all the time. I use swordo all the time, so I'm proficient. And don't even start with my spelling, because I don't care. God, I need spell check in my life. And let's say you wanted to use a spell. High level mage spell. Here, have some zaps. But in order to get that high level mage spell, you have to train in it. You have to have time. So in order to learn high-level mage spells, oh my gosh, I want to shoot myself, okay? You need to put in the time. But as you put time into learning the mage spells, unless you remember to put time into your swords, your sword time might become forgotten. So let's say the more time you put into mage spells, the less time you have to practice your swords. In a way, I guess I'm saying you need to keep up your proficiency in order to do certain things. So if you're using your swords a lot, you can, your proficiency will stay up. But over time, you'll lose proficiency if you're not using it. And I don't mean real time, because clearly if you want to leave the game for like a month or so and come back, you shouldn't have to like lose all your levels or anything. But I'm saying, like, if you spend a month in game and you haven't touched the sword in that month in game, maybe you should lose some of your efficiency at it. Maybe you shouldn't become as good at it. If you want to switch classes, or, you know, quote-unquote classes, if you want to learn other spells, or if you want to multitask and learn two things at once that you think work together, sure, but you're going to be sacrificing something to do it. You've only got so much, I'm going to say, time memory meter, time memory resource, that proficiency resource. You have to dedicate something or another to it. Last but absolutely not least, there's one more thing. MMOs are all about fighting. They're all about fighting. You're playing damage classes, tank classes, healer classes, you know. Everything you kind of do is based around doing cool combat things. But there's a part about video games that a lot of companies and people have forgotten, and that is this other thing you can do in video games called not fighting. You know, like let me start a new one over here. Well, oh, come on. All right, there we go. Make it smaller. Let's say you want to be a farmer, a fisherman, a businessman. Like, most people go to video games in order to be fighters and like to have violence and stuff like that. Cool. But these other things at the bottom here, there's a market for that. There's an absolute, there definitely is a market for that, and there are people that will come for it. I am one of them. Like, if I, in EVE Online, for example, as much as I've tried to play that, I don't care about the fighting aspect of EVE practically at all. It doesn't interest me. All I care about in EVE is being able to go around and be a cool miner boy. I like going around and mining. And is that kind of, you know, weird and offbeat? Sure, but like, this option being available to me is nice. In World of Warcraft, it kind of used to be an option where if you wanted to have that secondary tree in like, you know, one of the shoot, I forget what it is, like leather making or fishing, something like that. It was a legitimate thing because you had to, that was a real grind fest back in the day. And you had to put a lot of time into it, and people paid a lot of in-game currency to get those items because you had, like, people who were high enough a level to use those crafting mechanisms, they had to put a lot of time into it. And so their work was valuable. When they made it super easy to farm and fish and all that stuff in WoW, you know, it became worthless. You barely pay anything for any of that stuff now. Not that getting gold's a pain in the neck, like, not that. You know what? I probably should just get off because I've lost my mind. It's almost 5 in the morning where I'm at, and quite frankly, I need to edit this video together. Thank you very much. If you enjoyed this stupid video, leave a like, subscribe, donate to me on Patreon if you want to have me do whatever the hell you please. And I will talk about Battlefront 2 properly tomorrow. I just really hope that I can figure out what's going on here. Thank you very much. Goodbye.